Ladies and gentlemen, a man that neither minces his meat or his words.
Or his words.
Is that okay?
No, I think that's excellent, actually. That's. I don't even want to
Just
make
think
fun
out.
of it. All right. Was that the real one, or was that a practice
Yeah,
one?
no, that's about it. That's it. I won't do it again.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kenny. I like that. And I
Okay.
won't mince any words. I want to welcome everybody to the Gary and Kenny Show. I'm Gary. That's Kenny. You're in Calabasas. And I am now in Rutland, Vermont.
Yes, and you are 3 hours later than I am,
Yes, I am.
which
Yeah.
means it's pretty early for me.
Oh, God, it's 10 o'clock for you, Kenny.
Well, in our business, Gary, I mean, one of the reasons I really was attracted to get into our business was like my father used to get up 5 o'clock in the morning to take the
Yeah.
train to Manhattan.
Yeah, I get it.
And I would go, I don't want to grow up and do that.
Right.
And I'd see, look at television. It looked like television didn't start, people didn't get up until later.
Right.
Sitcoms start later. I felt like that might be a
Okay.
business where people get to sleep in a little bit more.
Yeah. Kenny, all right, this is our first subject today because I'm surrounded with people who say, I'm not a morning person. There's no morning person or night person. It's just what you condition yourself to. I firmly believe, and I know it sounds very militaristic. I think you should get up in the morning, maximize the daylight hours, get stuff done, seize the day.
Let me ask you something. When you wake up in the morning, do you wake up and go, I feel refreshed,
No,
go and have a great day?
no
I've
human
never
quite
done that in my
does.
entire life. From the moment they told me I had to get up from school to the moment they told me I would get up and go, oh, I got to drag myself my ass to school. I've never woken up gone. I've always woken up fighting it, going, I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up.
Even cartoons are groggy when they get up in the morning, when the rooster stretches before he crows. Everybody's groggy.
Learn from the
But you
cartoon.
have to push through that membrane. It's ugly for everybody, but what I do, Kenny, is basically, any time after 4, I feel is okay to wake up. If my eyes open to take a pee in the middle of the night and it's 4 o'clock,
That
I just
happened.
go, I'm up now.
No, I walk sleep to my pee. You
If
don't want to get up. You want to stay in a zombie song. So you're kind of like in a half sleep. So that by the time you get back to the bed, you're not woken up
if
by
it's
zombie
five
walk.
o'clock,
Yeah.
I feel that I slept in. And let me tell you what of course it's shitty for about 3 minutes, but you get your coffee. I love the smell of the
Let's
coffee.
talk about
I
coffee.
love the light as the sun comes up. I love the quiet of my home. And I read the paper, I blog, I write something political. I just get my shit together. And I've gotten things done before my family gets up.
Well, let's talk about coffee. I have my new coffee cup. I told you about this. I
This is
love
an
my
old
coffee
coffee
cup.
cup.
Do you
Oh,
realize
this
I
is the
poured this?
one.
This is the heating coffee cup. So even after you pour your coffee, it stays warm. This is
Yeah.
the same cup of coffee I have been drinking for 2.5 hours now.
And it's still warm?
It is perfect temperature. And I want to show you something else, Gary. As you
No.
know, I had to download the app to this, right?
Yeah, I know.
Let's check in on my cup of coffee with my app.
Okay.
Okay.
All
I'm
right.
going to my
All right.
app. Look, it found my device.
Uh-huh.
Right now, my coffee temperature is 141 degrees. That's pretty high, don't you think?
Oh, okay. So you've got it from, that's hot coffee. Yeah, that's hot
Yeah, I got
coffee.
4% left in my battery.
Okay. But does
Basically,
it
I
tell you
think
how
what it's
much?
saying is, I'm not really sure what it's saying. I can put a timer. I got presets. Anyhow, ladies
Right.
and gentlemen, this is my cup.
Right.
And by the way, if you'd like to get notifications from my coffee cup, I'll put you on the list.
Okay. Right. Now, what did you learn about your coffee that's truly relevant? Because, okay, it's 104, but I don't care. The coffee's hot. It's just, I need to make it hotter.
It's useless information, but somehow it makes a connection between me and my cup that I never had before.
Yes, and
Suddenly, right.
it makes a connection between you and whoever sold you the app, who downloads Kenny data
No,
and
I have a
knows how
connection with.
much you sip, what temperatures you like.
I have a connection, Gary. I'm just saying that I like I never really appreciated my cup before,
Uh-huh.
but now that we have a way of communicating,
I
I feel as
understand.
though that's something there. It's like it
Have
cares
to
to
re-
tell me what the temperature is. That's a nice thing.
right.
So I'm
But
okay.
As a relationship developed between your coffee and your toothbrush?
It's only been a few weeks now.
They're early. It's
But I
early
am
days.
noticing, I'm noticing that I caress it more when I do wash it. I do soap it up a little bit more than I used to do. So that's something to watch out for.
Now that when you're soaping, that's your coffee cup, not your toothbrush, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. That gets cleaned by
that was someone
the.
interesting that you then. All right, never mind.
Anyhow,
So
I think we have done exceedingly well going. How many minutes without talking about Trump?
we haven't talked about Trump yet, but I'm not quite finished talking about the morning
Oh, the morning.
because But here's the thing, because I've got kids. We said, well, we stayed up till 2 o'clock, so how can we get up before noon?
Yeah.
And they don't sound like that, and that's insulting, and they'll watch this and they'll be mad at me. But regardless, I know musicians who play till 2 o'clock. You have a good night's sleep if you're up at 9.
Hmm.
And that's if you go to bed at 2. I mean, people say, I work late and I work in a restaurant. It closes at 10. You're probably home by 11. You can still have a good night's sleep and get up in the morning and be productive and do business with people who live during the daytime, which is 98% of the world.
My son-in-law lives in San Diego, right across from the Marine base. Seriously, across the water.
My brother did
Every morning they do the bugle, not taps. What do they wake you up?
Yeah. Well, not taps. The
The
morning
bugle.
revelry.
Yeah, the revelry. The revelry.
Yeah.
Do you know what time the Marine Corps revelry goes off?
5 o'clock.
No. I'm up before the Marines get their revelry. Their revelry comes at 8:30 in the morning. I'm
Really?
not kidding. Swear to God.
That seems a little late for military.
Everybody in the house goes, I can't believe this. I should have joined the Marines. I could have slept later.
I could have slept later. Because I've always given credit to my father for raising me in a military fashion. He and his brothers were all World War II, et cetera, et cetera. So on a Saturday, my father was slamming doors by 7 a.m. If I was sleeping in, I would hear, what's the matter, lazy boys? Come on, let's go buy some lumber. And so I am just conditioned to get up.
That's interesting. Yeah, no, my father never took an active. I think my mother liked to sleep. I think I come from a long line of sleepers. Yeah, that's why we do. I think it goes back generations and generations and generations. Let's talk. The other thing I was actually thinking about, because this came up yesterday, was things we used to talk about was our run-ins with people. I used to love run-ins.
You have a lot of run-ins.
I did have run-ins. I don't have run-ins anymore. I'll tell you why.
You don't? Why? Tell me why.
Everybody is I go to the park with my dog. I don't run in with anyone. Every single person is staring at their phone.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I go to a place to, get something to eat and sit outside. Everybody's on their phones.
Yeah.
Even when you go in to order something from the restaurant, I don't have much of a conversation with the person because they just go like, they turn it around. I go, and that's the end of our interaction.
Yes. We're as guilty as young people. I was having this conversation with my wife. We were comparing the socialization processes when we were young. There was no cell phone. There were no answering machines. It was you go to somebody's house, you meet on the street, all the kids
Well, but you had
outside.
run-ins at the airport. There was a guy, whatever, you ended up conversation online.
Right.
You're not talking to that guy online because the guy behind you now, he's on his phone.
Right. But there were
not necessarily that I don't want people to think that I want to talk to them.
Of course. But there were ways that we integrated, that we socialized, and we learned certain, I think, social etiquette or ways to introduce ourselves or meet people. And that's missing now. And we notice in our children that it's very transactional. They're not going someplace. We would go to the mall to meet girls. And well, well, you did later, but you didn't when you were
No, you were 37 years old walking around the mall. Right. Looking for girls.
But now, they have things like Tinder, and that's just a catalog, I mean, you're just swiping by if you like somebody's look, but it's not a real social interaction.
Yeah, and I think maybe social interactions was why world it turned out so bad. Maybe this will be really helpful. Maybe people not having to talk to one another will be a way of us eliminating any kind of confrontation. That's what I have in my marriage. I've eliminated all conversation. We have no more confrontations. And you know what's an interesting new technology that's actually starting to take off? It failed miserably the first time. Was with, I think it's Apple, yeah. Oh no, Meta. It was Meta doing the glasses
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
thing where you
yeah.
wear glasses
Right,
and the glasses have the microphone in it. They have the
right,
camera in it. They
right,
have AI in it. So as
right,
you're walking along and you're just talking to yourself, you can go, "Hey, where do I turn next?" Your phone will tell you. I'm not your phone.
right.
Your eye. So you don't need to have the phone in
It's
front of
right
you
there.
anymore. You won't have the phone in front of you. You'll look through lenses. You'll see the world. It'll be, as they call it, augmented.
Hmm.
Augmented. It's like you want to
Yes.
change all the colors from green.
Well, I have a prediction for you, Kenny.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be a catastrophic failure. It's going to be popular and it's going to catch on.
Glasses.
I think it's another tool to destroy humanity. My wife said something very profound just yesterday. She said, you know how
You seem
people say
to
if
be on the show.
I said people always say if I went back in time I'd kill baby Hitler, you know, yeah, I get
Yeah.
it, I get it, I get it. She said if I could go back in time and change something, the internet would not have been invented.
Right.
Social media would not happen because the whole aggregate concept of the truth from all of these disparate sources creating this aggregate source of information is false.
Mhm.
It fails. It's creating anger, it's creating impatience, anti-socialization.
But it's not something that's ever going to go away.
No, it is not going to go away.
It's just, and everybody or anybody who's listening to this, I recommend Black Mirror, which I recommended to you because they do incredible kind of like Twilight Zone stuff, but it's all very much about these kind of questions. And I mean, it's not a documentary; it's narrative, but it's beautifully written, incredibly written. Anyhow, just so you know, do you know what Black Mirror means? What the Black Mirror is?
No.
You know how you look at your large screen TV in your living room and it's got a
Yeah.
big black screen on it, and
Yeah.
when you walk by, it's got a reflection?
Right. That's
That's
the
the
Black
Black
Mirror.
Mirror.
What is that implying? That the Black Mirror is actually
Well, just
it
that,
has a cyber consciousness that's absorbing information?
well, I haven't really thought that so far. It was just nice to know what
It's a nice,
Black Mirror
well,
was,
it's a
but I
nice
mean,
metaphor.
whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like looking at ourselves through technology is the best I
Yeah,
could come up with.
that's it's good. It's poetic. Now I'm flying back tomorrow to Waterloo to host the parade, and we have this giant festival every year.
Is
And
it
I'm
military?
still
Do you have military in it?
we have the Marine Band plays, but this is a local, high school bands and the cloggers and things like
Yeah,
that. It's a real homespun parade,
right,
but
right. But
it's
a Music Man, is it kind of like a Music Man?
yeah, it is kind of, and
Yeah.
it's this 3 day festival. But we also, Green Day played here 1,000 years ago. I mean, we
Wow.
have great
Aren't they
music.
from there?
I think they might be Midwestern, but they're certainly not from Waterloo. But
Oh,
my point is, we get real bands,
yeah,
and it's a real citywide festival.
yeah.
So I still host it, and
What do
I'm
you mean
going
host
back
it?
for that.
Like you're on top of a vehicle? Are you waving your like a
No, no,
hat?
I've got the microphone and local, cable access or whatever it's called now,
So
TV.
you kind of like announce you're like
I'm the Bob Eubanks of the Sturgis Falls
wow,
Parade. Yeah, yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Have you, so you got to research because you got to know who's walking by, right? You got to go, hey,
Yes,
coming in from
yes, yes. The,
so and
the
so.
Cedar
You gonna
Valley
have a beauty queen?
Cloggers.
Is there a queen?
The Pork Princess.
The what?
The Pork Princess.
They used to call my sister that. It wasn't a compliment.
In Iowa, the Pork Princess is quite a compliment. It's not a beauty pageant, but somebody gets the acknowledgement. It's like a scholarship to be the Pork
Gary,
Princess.
there's
But
no
they're the
way.
winners of talent shows. It's very sweet. And
Gary,
all
there's
the
no
class reunions go by.
Gary, there's no way that the idea of a pork princess wasn't come up with a bunch of like five old men who run like the hardware store who said, "Hey, we'll
Yeah,
call her
of
the
course
pork
it is.
princess,"
Of
and
course.
then they bring over a little girl. You're beautiful. You're going to
Yeah,
be this year's
you're
pork
the Pork.
princess.
Look,
Be
the the
horrified.
the irony is not lost. Um, but it is the Pork Princess, and it's usually a
What is it? Is
lovely.
there a prince? Is there a prince? What is he
There's
like?
no pork. What are you crazy? A pork prince? Come on,
No.
pork princess. No, it's just the
Oh,
pork
no.
princess,
True, they
and it's
have princess.
probably the Iowa Pig Growers Society. I mean, I should probably know more than I do, but it's all there in a script, and I read it, and I have fun with people, and I talk to them, and class reunions go by on the flatbed truck, and I mix it up with.
I would love to co-host that with you.
Yeah, and it's kids doing dances, and I keep mentioning cloggers, but cloggers are a big part of local hometown parades.
Is that because of there's a heritage in the Dutch with
Norwegian,
Dutch?
Norwegian. I don't know what the clogger history is,
You should find out.
and I don't
I'm
think
sure.
it's
I bet
specific
our
to
audience would be really interested.
those who are left after just bringing up clogging.
Yeah.
Yeah, um, but it's going to be lots of fun. It's also, Kenny, my 50th reunion. So I'm seeing classmates I
You're
haven't
going to your
seen in
50th
50
reunion?
years. Yes, my 50th reunion.
Wow, that's going to be frightening, Gary.
It is. Now, a lot of these people I've seen, many of them are
Oh,
in town still, and I've seen, but there are probably half of them that I've either seen only once 20 years ago and some not since we graduated.
I
Because
think I went
everybody
to
comes
my
back for the 50th that's still alive.
I went to my 25th, and it was just bizarre. I mean, I walk up to the desk, and it's just like two old ladies sitting at the desk, and I go, here for the reunion? And they go, Kenny! And I'm like, who the fuck?
Who
You
the
people?
fuck are you?
What the?
Well, that's 25.
I was
So
convinced they were.
you missed your 50th. You didn't go. You didn't go to your 50th because you're older than me.
Yeah, no, I don't even not remember. I don't remember if I got a 50th. I think after the 25th, most people
They
just walk
said,
away
don't
and say,
invite Kenny.
this is,
Yeah.
there's no reason
Kenny.
to do this again.
Right. Well, I go, and it's very specific. Reason number one, I have my hair.
That's
I
a big thing.
have my hair.
Big,
It's a big
big, big,
deal.
big,
I
big.
feel that I am, I wasn't unpopular because I was funny and stuff like that. But I wasn't, Adonis back in high school. I wish that I was, the quarterback of the football team, and I
Mm,
wasn't. But
mm.
now, the quarterback of the football team is got failing health and bad knees and balls
Isn't
and
that something? I
pot
know.
belly.
I know. No, I know. Absolutely. Hey, listen, the hair thing is an important thing. I remember one of the first conversations I had with somebody when I back to that was they looked at me, Kenny, wow, you have hair.
Right? It's the first thing that comes out. You
It
have
is
hair.
amazing.
And they're
Yeah.
not talking about hair on your shoulders, or on your back. There's hair on your
No,
head.
it's like, okay, I wasn't that cool in high
No,
school, but and
I remember.
you're right. You meet the guy who was the big, so and so, and he's selling used cars, and he's got a beer belly, and
Well, my brother had his 50th a couple of years ago, and my brother's a nuclear physicist. In fact, the government won't even let him retire. He's so uh, great at what he does.
well, we
He's
need him
much,
now.
yes. In fact, I believe that he developed a program to track the movement of plutonium. So he's a big deal. He's a
Wow.
nuclear physicist. I think he has a double degree in astrophysics and nuclear physics. I mean, he's brilliant.
Wow.
And he's tall and he has all of his hair and it's white, it's salt and
Mhm.
pepper. But he was very unpopular. He was a nerd back in high school.
Right.
Girls did not gravitate toward him.
Yes.
I heard a crowd of girls making fun of him once, and I lit into them because he was my
Oh
brother.
my.
But he
Wow.
was persecuted.
That's amazing.
But
Yeah.
now he goes back, and all of the guys who were popular are fat and bald. Not that there's anything wrong with being fat and
Not there's
bald,
anything
but
wrong with
my
it.
brother is successful, world renowned, has all of his hair, and is thin.
You know what? I wish that
Those girls were all over my brother.
I would think that a great reality show would be we get your brother and we get all the women that rejected him when they were in school.
Great idea.
Okay.
Great idea.
bring bring all
Great
those
idea.
women back. And
What a
now,
good idea for a show. I
yeah.
mean, obviously, it's not just about my brother. I think that's really interesting. It's a "This Was Your Nerd Life" sort of
Yeah.
show,
So
a
tell us
dating
again,
game.
Tell us again, why didn't you date him when he
Yeah,
asked you?
right. It's
Yeah.
the nerd dating game.
Yeah. Well, let's meet him now. Come on out.
Right. First of all, let's take a look at the husband that you've been with for 35 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And now let's bring out Richard Kroger that you made fun of and
Exactly.
vowed that you would rather eat a dead chicken. Well,
Gary, that's a good idea.
yep, yep. It is a good idea. Well, ladies and gentlemen, run with
Okay.
it.
I was going to mention this, and I'm not sure why. I mean, it is what it is. So my birthday's coming up.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And you're
I'm
71.
going to be 71.
Yeah, yeah.
And people, and and already, and Facebook is sending me notes. Ken, your birthday's coming up, son. Ken, are you aware? Kenny, do you know your birthday's coming up? Because you should set up this thing and set up that thing because you get people so that they can put out and do the charity. And I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to.
And they should give statistics. People who do not get enough attention, the incidence of suicide rises dramatically, Kenny. So
that can't be true.
Yeah, it is true.
You think
people who are ignored?
People, yes, people, and you know what? I actually believe it because a big part of the birthday thing now is, you check on your birthday, how many people care.
Yeah, right.
We're willing exactly to just what you do. Care. This was the effort. All they had to do was they didn't even have to write "Happy Birthday" anymore. All they have to do is click,
and it says "Happy Birthday, Kenny." Or, and you have choices. I could say Kenneth, Kenny C.
All the pre-written kind of options. I don't have to do anything. I just one click.
But then they will make a list of all of those people who thank them, and I count them sort of.
Yeah,
I love it when I have pages and pages of
then you have to write the thank you note.
Well, you just go to all of the people who wished me.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't do a thank you note to everybody. I'm just going to do something like, I appreciate the thank yous.
Yes.
And as a show of good faith, I will click on all of your birthdays.
Right. My self-esteem is not so weak that it's regulated by birthday attention, but I'm aware of it. But I know people, especially young people, if they put something out there or it's a special day like their birthday and they don't get it's devastating. It's devastating. It might not be the reason for suicide increases, but it's part of the soup that creates low self-esteem. The attention you get or don't get from Facebook or whatever. Because young people don't really use Facebook. That's where we get blue. But, Instagram attention or whatever.
I know. No, it's devastating. Listen, there's many things I'm grateful for. One of them is not being a teenage girl in today's society.
Yes, absolutely. And I know why you said a teenage girl, but I'm glad I'm not a teenager, period.
Yeah.
I said to my kid the other day.
I'm glad I'm not a teenage me. Because if I was back in the day, I wore glasses, I had freckles. I was one of those people that the girls didn't. I wasn't your, whatever. I was a funny little kid with freckles and glasses. But now I have my hair, Gary.
Yeah. Well, I said to my son the other day, because he said, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about, And I said, well, look, I've got something you don't have. I have the perspective of having been your age and all of the ages in between yours and where I am now. I've lived through different eras. I was conscious in the 60s, the 70s, et cetera, et cetera. And so if I am to compare worlds, I preferred the way it was.
Right.
Before the internet.
Absolutely.
Before social media. When we did have busy signals, I'm going to go to Brian's house because he's been on the phone for an hour and a half and knock on the door.
But young people say the same thing to me. If I give them the option of before or after, they would say before.
It was probably better before. Yeah. I mean, there's a tendency to always wax nostalgic and see the past through rose-colored glasses. But again, I look at what my kids go through and the struggles meeting people, et cetera, and how easy it was for us to just show up at the mall, to just show up next door where they're playing Foursquare.
Well, yes and no. That's in perspective-wise. But it was also very difficult for me in that I wouldn't go to the mall or whatever because first of all, I couldn't get a ride there. I mean, there were a lot of roadblocks to getting to the mall. And then, then if you go and then there's a group, so we had our own anxieties.
Yes.
Well, we had our own anxieties about just, venturing out to try to meet people and all of that stuff. Now, it was better then, but at the time we were anxious. It wasn't just this is a great time to go out.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I suffered in all sorts of scenarios back in school. But I do happen to think that having lived in New York, having lived in Chicago, having lived in LA, I think I'm lucky to have lived in the Midwest where you didn't have to lock up your bike or the front door. We were just a roving band of kids within 2 or 3 ages of each other, playing games.
And life is not like that in a small town anymore.
No, but there are elements, and here I am in Rutland, which is not unlike that sort of Midwest existence. And there's a modesty. You're not driven by affluence in quite the same way. Back home, a ranch house was good enough.
Well, I get that, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking as a teenager.
Yeah,
It's the
right.
internet, even in a small town where all those things are available to you, where you could just like walk down the main street or go whatever and go into the soda shop and just like
Yeah,
sit
right.
there. So
Hi, Mr. Parker.
yeah,
Yeah.
those things do not exist
Two
anymore
straws.
solely because of the internet.
Yeah, certainly
Yeah,
part of it. Yeah.
wow. We
Well,
wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for the internet, which is
if it
another
wasn't for
reason
the internet.
I wish they never invented the internet. And
Yeah,
I'm sure a
right.
lot of the people watching feel the same way.
But guess what, Kenny? I am going to get into the pool now because it's 93 degrees, but with the humid air, feels like your coffee temperature.
Let's
It
check on my
is
coffee temperature.
debilitatingly hot outside,
It is
and I'm going to
amazing,
get
all the
in
way
the
up in
pool.
Vermont and no air conditioning. And
I'm in the mountains.
you're in the mountains.
I'm in
This
the
might be,
mountains.
hey, it says my cup is empty.
We, well,
It does. I still have a little bit left.
that's just an existential comment on your life. It has nothing to do with your coffee.
It says my cup is empty.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So,
But no, things aren't going to be the same, Kenny, because we've had a lot of rain in Vermont. And everybody's saying that never happens here. There's usually not so much rain. Things are changing. The weather's changing. The weather's bigger. Flights are more turbulent. There are more storms. There are more devastating storms. It's hotter than it used to be. And yes, there will be days that give the Republicans enough information to go, see, it's not climate change. It's 70 degrees again, just like it was in the old days. But
how are
in
people
general,
how are
we're
people
moving
how are people selective in the scientists they believe? They believe.
stupidity,
Yeah, but
ignorance.
how do you say, oh, I believe in science when it comes to getting on an
What?
airplane? Hey, the scientists have figured this out. I can fly safely all over
The
the world.
Bernoulli principle they figured out, and they'll get into an airplane. If the same scientists were to say, yes, but there is climate change that is man-made, and it puts you in peril, they choose not to believe him.
Right.
Yes. It's ignorance.
Those people.
Confirmation bias.
And that's why maybe not having interaction with people is the best way to go.
What a beautiful ribbon you just
Did I
put on.
segue? Did I bring us all around now, Gary?
Beautifully, Kenny,
All right,
beautifully. All right, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we would love your comments. Go on to our YouTube channel, The Gary and Kenny Show. Tell us what you like. If you don't like something, maybe keep it to yourself, but be tactful with it because we're very sensitive. We didn't grow up the popular guys. We can still get hurt. But make comments, ask us questions, things you'd like to have on the show or subjects you'd like to talk about. We're on all the popular podcast platforms, Spotify, yada, yada, yada. So tune in to The Gary and Kenny Show. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Right, well done, Gary.